Hi guys, you may notice that I have a Honda Civic Type R next to me, but it's not just any Honda Civic. Let's take a look. Now this is a Honda Civic Type R Sportline, which means we no longer have this big aggressive wing that you find on the GT. Instead, it's replaced with this much nicer, discreet wing, and as well as that, you get 19-inch alloys instead of the big 20s on the GT, which means a much more comfortable ride. And the nice thing with this hot hatch is there's plenty of room in the boot. As you can see, it's 420 litres. And as you can see, there is plenty of room in the rear for 3 adults. And the reason why Honda brought in this Sportline is to open up to a wider audience, because not everybody wants that big, shouty car, just like my mum. So, Mum, what do you think of the standard Honda Civic Type R?
Too shouty.
And the Sportline?
A lot better. Yeah, I would drive that.
There you go, it's got mother's approval. And on to the inside, it's just everything a Type R should be. You've got some incredibly comfy seats which look incredible. You've got the carbon fibre accents with the little red touch, which again matches the exterior of the car, and it has every additional extra you need as standard. So you've got Apple CarPlay, sat-nav, digital dash display, wireless charger. There's nothing more you need in here, and the best thing that I love is the storage space. You've got it under the armrest, you've got your wireless charger hole, a little sneaky one underneath. You can fit everything in here. The Honda Civic Type R Sportline joined the fleet back in 2020 alongside the GT and the limited edition, but it still has the Type R pedigree. Just like the normal Type R, this still has the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged 320 brake horsepower and 400 newton meters of torque. It is VTEC, which is absolutely awesome, and it's an engine that has a lot to give. 0 to 60 with that 6-speed manual is 5.8 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot when you compare it to the Golf R's, but in terms of drivability, that engine has so much to give. To aid in that amazing handling, it also has what they call a MacPherson strut dual axis adaptive damper, which is a lot of a mouthful, but it also means that dampers are changing themselves depending on what mode you want it in, whether you're looking for that nice comfortable drive and you want the suspension nice and soft, or whether you want to absolutely smash those B-rows and have the most that you can grab out of that suspension. So it gives you those options. You're not just kind of one size fits all. My favourite thing about this is the brakes. I think with any car, if you come from a racing background, brakes are where you can make the most time up, and this does not fail there at all. So it's got a 2-piece floating disc, which are also vented, and the Brembo brakes as well, which means you've got all that performance just at your pedal. The brakes are really nice and firm. They're very sensitive to how much pedal you're pressing, which I think is really good because you can control your braking really easily. Most people also think that hot hatches are super heavy, 1.5 tons. The Type R's managed to strip some of that back and bring it to 1,395 kilograms, which for 320 horsepower is a fair deal. It means you've got the lightness and the ability to be agile whilst still holding its own and staying nice and planted. Whilst remaining firm around those corners on the spirited drives, it still has a lot of comfort and practicality too. With all the mod cons, this also has automatic cruise control, your lane assist, your little wing mirror, recognisey thing, and to be fair, when you are on that long journey, you've got comfortable seats, you can just stick your cruise control on and it does a lot of the work for you. I think sometimes it takes that driver aspect out of it. It's slowing you down when actually you are still quite a way away from the car in front, and just occasionally it does recognise that when you're in the fast lane with it clear in front of you but a car beside you, it does sometimes give you a little dab of the brake because it must cross over the sensor. But overall, it's quite a handy system to have, and I think the mass of the public would use that. Now, you may be wondering, what actually does this car cost? From brand new, this spec with the added paint colour is £35,950, which if you think about it, for a brand new car is a steal. When you look at things like your Golf R's, you're nearly reaching 30,000 for a 2-3 year old one. So for your money, you get a lot with the Type R. To match these super comfy seats, the suspension riding comfort is just like a normal hatchback. It means it's a lot more of a usable car and really lives up to what Honda were trying to do with the Sportline. As well as added comfort and a little less styling, they've also put soundproofing and deadening in the boot and all the back space just to help sort of drown out that exhaust drone, which means the inside cockpit is a lot more nicer, quieter, relaxing place. And in terms of looks, the Sportline has nailed it. The much more discreet aerodynamics does not take away from the fact that this car means business, especially with the touches of carbon fibre. Now, the smaller rear wing is a lot more mature, so it opens up to a bigger customer base than you may find with the GT. As any sports car should have, it has quite a heavy steering wheel, which means the feedback is really good. You know exactly what the car's doing, where the wheels are being placed, and it aids in just having that fun on the B roads. It can make your arm and hand a little bit tiring because it doesn't interchange with the modes, but are you really buying one of these just to be boring? And again, being a proper purebred sports car, we have a 6-speed manual. It isn't a proper sports car if it doesn't come in a manual, so this is just heaven for me. And it's a really cracking manual box. The clutch is so easy to use, you can find your biting point so easily, and the gearbox itself, it's not really wishy-washy, it's really direct. It's a nice short gear stick and it's in the right place. You can rest your arm on the armrest, change gear, relax, but yeah, it suits the whole feel of the car, and the gearbox itself I cannot fault at all. The Type R, throughout all of the generations, the EP3, the generation before this, has always been known just for that A-star chassis. It's what Honda have done best, and this newer model doesn't lose that at all. It just handles so well. I mean, the handling itself is absolutely faultless. I think it's one of the best handling hot hatches out there. You can put a lot of confidence into it and it's going to put a smile on your face. But the nicest thing with it as well is, to aid in that handling, it does have a limited slip diff. So it's getting you round those corners as pinned as possible, which technically is safety. If I had to pick out one criticism for this car, it has to be the exhaust. For me, it's just so quiet. Even outside of the car, I feel like it needs to be a little more loud. But I guess that's the whole point of the Sportline. It is a lot more understated, but it's still a sports car. It still should have that little grumble on startup. And that's the only thing for me that it is missing. Hot hatches are not renowned for excellent MPG. I mean, it's not one of the reasons why we buy them, but Honda do state you'll get around the mid-30s, and the whole average of the time I've been driving this, I've been getting mid-30s, so they've got it pretty much bang on. And to be fair, for a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine that makes you want to put your foot down, I'll take that. After living with a Type R for just under a week, I feel like I've got a proper conclusion on this car, and that is, it's everything a hot hatch should be. It's grippy in the corners, it's fun, it's playful, it's got a good pull from the engine. It isn't there to break any 0 to 60 records, but it is there to put a smile on your face while still having these practical aspects like a big boot, rear seats, Apple CarPlay. And the nicest thing with the Sportline is it's opened up the Type R to a whole new audience and a whole new range of people who are going to appreciate this without the massive ring on the rear. So there we have it. You guys know the drill. To make my journey your journey, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!